Hi, hello, how's everyone doing? Hi, Awokra, thanks for joining. Hello, thank you for being here. This is our astrology hour, not to make that rhyme. Hi, Tia Queen, thank you for being here. Thank you for coming to hang out. So during this live, we're going to be having a conversation about the Pisces. Why did I say Aries? Well, hi Aries. Is somebody in Aries on this live? Anyone in Aries, Sun, Moon, or Rising? Because I don't know why Aries popped up in my mind. But this is actually about the Pisces full moon that we're having on September 7th. I won't be live any other day except today for the rest of the... Oh, you are an Aries rising, Thea Queen. See? I can feel the energy. I am a little psychic. I could feel Aries energy in the air. I knew there was a reason I was calling it, because I don't know why that came out, because I literally just got done doing the podcast for the Pisces full moon, so I had no reason to say Aries whatsoever. But hi, welcome Aries rising. I'm so glad that you're here, Tia Queen. Thanks for coming to hang out. So we're having a Pisces full moon lunar eclipse transit, and it's happening on September 7th here in the US. So I am making this time for you guys, so you can ask me questions about the full moon for you, and I will answer it. So who would like to go first? Or Tia Queen, do you want me to do yours, since I picked you up out of everybody right away? So who would like to go first? I'm not gonna put pressure on you, but I want you to. You said yes, please? Okay, wonderful. So thank you for asking, because I don't want to answer if you didn't ask. Hi, Marianne. Thanks for joining. So for you, this falls in the 12th house, okay? The 12th house in astrology is the house of karma. So this is Aries rising reading. The house of karma is the house of endings. A lot of times we think karma is like bad. Usually when people talk about karma, they use it often in the bad way, but it's not always bad, because karma is a teacher. In reality, karma is neutral. It's neutral, but it's an ending, because what keeps us underdeveloped and what keeps us able to get into our manifestation is because we're not in alignment. Okay? And to be in alignment, you need some information, and that information has to be rooted in truth. So karma is the ending, because it's when you meet your true self. This is why Pisces rules the 12th house, which is the house of karma. Pisces is also the oldest zodiac signs, and they rule the split between death and life, because we're born at Aries. Then we're like an infant, then we get older, we get older, we get older, we get older, we get older. When we get to Pisces, that's the end of the road, and then we die. Then we go back to God, we go back into oneness, and then we come back as an Aries. This is why life, the cycle of life, is never ending, and it goes from Aries all the way to Pisces. So for you, Aries, if you have not been living according to your healthy ego, and a healthy ego for Aries is somebody who is confident, somebody who is strong, somebody who is powerful. And thanks to you guys that are here, if you wouldn't mind touching on the screen, that way TikTok doesn't tell me that nobody's here, because when the screen doesn't get touched every 5 minutes, I get a message that says that there's inactivity. They say there's inactivity, and then they give me this thing, and I have to match it so that they can make sure I'm really here. So if you could touch it, I would appreciate it. Thank you. So Aries is a zodiac sign that is naturally a leader. Naturally. These people, especially in girls, demonstrate strong character, very confident women when they're little. It's very hard, for Aries girls when they're young, because everybody is trying to keep them from being the boss that they are, because society does not encourage women to boss up. So for Aries girls in particular, it's a very hard path to walk, where at every corner they have to reassert their independence. At every corner they have to reassert their courage, their dominance, because society does not want to give them space to be the dominant, independent, strong, and powerful creature that they are. And when they take it, they're called bad names. They're seen in a poor light, because why are you this aggressive? Why are you this loud? Why are you this dominant? Why are you this? Why are you that? It's always too much. When you're an Aries woman, Everything you do is too much for everybody. It's always too much. It's almost like people just want you to be quiet and just make yourself small. It's the only time they will be happy with you or comfortable. And when you refuse to do that, they have a problem. So that's the path of Aries. They're supposed to irritate people on their path to success because they're supposed to take an unconventional route to be who they are. Because Pisces is literally the infant of the zodiac. They're supposed to take chances. They're supposed to take risks, to do things differently, and the things that they do are going to ruffle some feathers because they're here to ruffle feathers. They're supposed to ruffle feathers. But when you're a woman in particular, the society does not accept this from you because women are socialized to just get in their place and be malleable and be agreeable and all of that. So Thea Queen said, exactly. I've been told all of that, and I also have Lilith in my first house in Aries. Oh my God. Hi Michelle, thanks for being here. You also have Lilith in your first house. You are a beast, and I love women like you. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. But I know that the others don't love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. But I know that the others don't love it. And that's your problem, Queen. As long as you're being fair. That's the main thing. As long as you're being fair. You know, we don't want to get drunk with our confidence. We don't want to get so drunk with our confidence that we think we have the right to just go around like being cruel to people, being a tyrant to people, being mean to people just because we want to prove something. Hola, chica! Thanks for coming to hang out. You know, like that's the issue with Aries. And this is what I said in my reading. When Aries doesn't feel confident with the decisions that they're making in their life, when they don't feel like they're wanted where they want to be in life, sometimes that aggression, that competition turns into being a bully. Okay? It turns into being a bully, where now, because they don't feel they have control in their life, they don't feel they have the confidence to make their dreams happen, so now they want to go out in the world and try to put everybody down so everybody can feel the way they feel, which is small. Hi David. And when an Aries is unhealed, that's how they are. My mother is an Aries moon. Somebody said their mother's an Aries moon. My mother's an Aries moon too. And that's where we have issues because I'm a Capricorn moon. So I practice a lot of emotional restraint, you know, and I'm a Capricorn stellium. So I'm not somebody that's just because I feel something, I'm just going to like pull out my weapon and I'm ready to go to war. No, I'm going to calculate. I'm going to take my time. I'm going to strategize, and I'm going to like double check my information. I'm going to make sure that what's going on is right. And if I know that you were really coming at me with malicious intent, then I'm going to take my time to aim. And when I aim, I don't miss, because at this point it's intentional, and I need you to feel that to the core of your soul. Because it's not just like a quick thing. But Aries moon, you're a Capricorn moon like me too. Oh my God, yay. But Aries moon, and the reason why I'm bringing up the moon, which, Rochelle, I'm so glad that you shared your story because it sounds like it's similar to mine. Obviously not identical, but Aries moon is the most unstable of all the moon signs. And I don't mean unstable like mentally unstable. I mean it doesn't rest. Because you have to remember, fire, okay? Fire. So even when fire is resting, have you ever lit a candle? Even when fire is resting, which is a candle, that is the most softest fire you can ever think of, right? Is there a softer fire than a candle? I can't think of one. A candle is literally the softest fire. But even that candle fire is not resting. Have you ever watched a fire on a candle? It's like this. And this is the lowest level of the fire. And Aries is the raw fire. It's the pure fire. It's the new fire. It has no structure. It hasn't learned anything about life yet. This is why Aries doesn't listen to you when you're talking to them. Because everything Aries learns, they learn from their experience. Because they're only learned through fire. They only learn through passion. They only learn through real life. So the fire of Aries, even at the lowest level, it is very active. And the moon is where we have a lot of volatility because the moon is ruled by Cancer. And Cancer is the most emotionally volatile zodiac sign because every couple of days the moon switches into a new zodiac sign. Those of you who are not currently following me on Patreon, you need to follow me there. Go to Patreon. There's a link in bio. Just go do it right now and come back. click on my Patreon, click on subscribe. You don't even have to be a subscriber where I send you your horoscope, but I want you to stay in touch with the moon transit every day, because you will notice a pattern. Every couple of days, the moon is changing, and this is why Cancers are so moody. Okay? Now, Aries is a cardinal zodiac sign just like Cancer, but the difference, because it is fire and it's always flickering, in addition to it being moody, and moody means sometimes I'm down, sometimes I'm up, sometimes, that's what moody is, right? I'm down, I'm up, but now I'm also agitated because I'm never resting while I'm down and up. So what do you think you're going to get out of an Aries moon? It's conflict every 5 minutes. And whenever they're in conflict, they think it's the most important conflict in the world. And they don't know, like many of them that haven't done any of their work, they don't know how to self-regulate. It's basically like an infant. Every 5 minutes there's a problem, and every problem feels like it's the end of the world. Literally, every problem feels like it's the end of the world. When a baby needs to be changed and when a baby is hungry, the way they cry, there isn't much of a difference. All they know is, right now, there's something I'm not getting. It's a problem. And an Aries moon who has not done their work, every problem feels like World War III. And me as a Capricorn moon, I just don't have that energy. Like, ma'am, let's prioritize our focus right now. Okay, let's get our list of priorities together. What do we want to work on? What can wait? What is urgent? What is necessary? What can you ignore? This is my favorite thing as a Capricorn moon. I'm not going to give you my attention. Time is the most valuable asset. I don't just give it to anybody. That's all I have. Time is all we have. They say time is money. No, time is life. Time is not money. Time is life. When you have no more time, you are dead. Okay? And guess what? No matter how much money you get in this world, you can never buy time. Never. That's what Capricorn knows. So Capricorn is very choosy about who they give their time to, why they give their time to that person, and they ration their time. But Aries has not yet learned that time is life. So every irritation Aries feels, they want to have a reaction, which when they turn that inward, it makes them the best. Like, as an example, today's Beyonce's birthday. Happy birthday, Beyonce. I love Beyonce. She's an Aries rising. Do you see how much that woman works? That woman has been dancing in heels since she was 7 years old. She's today 44 years old. Beyonce turns that anguish, that restlessness, that energy, which is what Aries lives with, especially at the moon, inward. And she tells herself, I'm going to be the best. I want to be the best. I'm going to make a mark. I want to be the best. And she competes. And she doesn't stop until she gets what she wants. And from 7 years old dancing in heels to now at 44 years old, everybody says the queen when they speak about her. The queen. Well, she didn't just earn it from wasting her time fighting with every ridiculous person that made a gossip about her. She doesn't even address those things. People have said so many horrible things about her. I remember when she first became a mom and she brought her daughter out for the first time. Oh my God, you should have read the horrible things these people were saying about this infant. An infant. Most people wouldn't have been able to handle that kind of pressure. But she just brought that energy within. She's like, oh, you want to make fun of my baby? I will show you. And now her baby's on stage dancing next to her. Those same people that were saying all of that, they didn't have anything else to say. Where's the criticism now? Where is it? Useless. She puts her anger into something concrete that benefits her. Aries underdeveloped puts their anger at the world when they're not where they want to be. So Aries rising, you're having some very heavy karmic lessons that you need to learn about your ego. Because a lot of times when you do this, is because you're not keeping your ego in check, is because you feel entitled to wins. And when you do not get wins, because Aries loves to compete, they're sore losers. Okay? Aries is a sore loser. Unless they do their maturing work. Beyonce has lost more times than she won, and every time she wins, she's graceful. But in my opinion, as a fan, she deserves more than what she's been given. I mean, she never even won an award for Lemonade, which I think is her best album to date. Like, what woman doesn't know the weight of that betrayal? It was such a beautiful album. And she even had, like, all the colors, the videos going with it. But you didn't hear her whining about it in interviews. You didn't hear her wasting her time complaining and feeling entitled. No, she went back to the lab and worked on something else and gave us Renaissance. Do you get my point? Turn the work inward. If you truly have confidence, then that confidence should be an eternal belief in yourself, no matter if other people see your value or not. That's real confidence. Real confidence is not about other people seeing your values. It's about you seeing your value, no matter what other people say. Because when you're insecure, inadvertently what happens is that you want to punish other people who are more successful than you because you were not able to create or manifest the success that you wanted for yourself. And then you're jealous, and then you're a bully, and then you want to ruin them. You want to shut them down. You want to humiliate them. But in doing that, you're only bringing yourself more bad karma. Because everybody is here on their own spiritual journey. God is in charge of everybody. Everybody has their role. Everybody has their story. It's like a clock. That's what karma is. Karma is time. That's why Capricorn rules time. Okay? The 12th house is about endings. Endings means you're out of time. You've been taught the lesson. Can you demonstrate your ability to have learned this lesson? If your behavior cannot showcase that you've learned the lesson, then you're out of time for the teaching part. So now it's the part for the consequence. Okay? Sometimes it's the time for you to get your reward because you've been long suffering. You've been patient. You've been hardworking. Even though opposition was coming at you left and right, you stayed to the path. And so now you're being rewarded. So karma isn't always negative. Karma simply means you're out of time on the lesson and it's time for you to get your test back. Did you do good? Did you do bad? And you can tell how you're doing based on the feedback you're getting from your intuition. Because when we're being evil, because we're insecure, we know we're being evil. Right or wrong? Rochelle said, Aries never stop. They never stop. Aries is full of energy. And when they're truly confident, they'll take it to the top. They won't stop until they get what they want. Because they know nobody has more energy than them. And they focus. That's what a mature Aries does. Tia Queen said right. So when you're being evil, your gut tells you, let's not do that. Some of you, when you're told, let's not do that, you keep going. And then you're told again, you keep going. You keep going. And then it gets louder. And then you start meeting the consequences in the physical realm. And then you want to play victim. But you're God, though. You're God. Everything that happens in your life is a byproduct of you. You create it. With your frequency, with your decisions, with your intentions. There's nothing that happens in your life that you don't allow. Everything that happens, you allow. So if you're at a point in your life, Aries rising, where you feel dissatisfied, this transit is going to give you a lot of illumination. Because the 12th house is also the house of revelations, in addition to being the house of endings. So there may have been some things that you were missing before that suddenly it's just going to click. And the light bulb is going to come on and you're just going to fully understand what you were struggling with and why you were struggling with it and how you need to get out of it. Aries is a warrior. I always put my money on Aries being able to overcome whatever they're going through. A lot of the issues that Aries has is really about getting their heart in the right place and their feelings in the right place, because when that's there, they're unstoppable, unbeatable. Okay? Thank you, Aries rising. For being the first one to get me going here. Who else would like to ask me a question about the Pisces Lunar Eclipse? Thank you so much, Tia Queen. I appreciate you. Oh, so you're an Aries rising, a Virgo sun, and a Libra moon. I appreciate you. Oh, so you're an Aries rising, a Virgo sun, and a Libra moon. Oh, yeah, you're balanced. You're not like Aries rising and Aries moon and Aries sun. Yeah, you're balanced. Especially that Virgo sun, that really helps you because Virgo's smart. Not to say Aries isn't smart. I mean, Virgo's practical with what they do. They think twice. Virgo is going to think twice before they make a choice. Aries is going to think once and go for it. Virgo is going to think twice, sometimes 3 times before they make a choice. And Libra moon is going to balance out the pros and cons of that karma because, you know, Libra is exalted as Saturn, the planet of karma. The meaningful thing about this full moon transit that I want you to know about is that it's conjunct North Node, which is our destiny. Oh, Rochelle, you gave me yours. I'll do yours next. And yours is Virgo rising. Okay, very good. Yeah, so this full moon lunar eclipse, first of all, it's a blood moon, right? Because we're having a lunar eclipse with the sun in Virgo and the moon in Pisces, right? So we're having this reconciliation of the mind and the heart. Okay? A lot of people think that it's the mind versus the heart, when really it's the mind and the heart. So there is some tension here that we need to reconcile so we can harmonize our destiny between both those things, right? And the other thing that's happening is because it's conjunct our North Node, it's literally bringing us in harmony with our destiny. So this whole month is about our destiny because the next transit after this is a solar eclipse, again in Virgo. Yeah, in Virgo, because this one is in Pisces, the next one is in Virgo. So this Virgo-Pisces axis is definitely getting put together. I told you guys that we're going through a collective, like, meltdown of egos, like narcissism is, like, going through a collective death. This is a transit of that, because the narcissism axis is the Virgo-Pisces axis. So this whole month, we're working through this Virgo-Pisces axis. This, moon in Pisces is also conjunct Saturn. And as you know, Saturn is the planet of karma. So karma is the theme. Destiny is the theme. And it's unavoidable. Everything that's happening right now is definitely fated. And there's nothing we can do about it. We just have to learn from it and move on. Okay? So Rochelle asked me, Virgo rising. Rochelle said she's definitely working on her ego. Yeah, all of us, girl. Because it doesn't end, you know, sometimes you like get in a good place and then things shift and then you got to get back to like the foundational stuff again. And it's a constant process of going through it. So for you, Virgo rising, you're going to be feeling this very intensely because Pisces is your sister and because this is happening on the axis of Pisces and Virgo. For you, the main part, oh, Tia Queen, you're so welcome. Thank you so much for asking. For you, the main part with your transit is really you have to find this balance between your heart and your mind. Okay? Sometimes you like to go with the logical thing. Virgo rising, like Virgo puts logic over everything. You know, back to the Queen Beyonce, she's a Virgo sun. But the rising sign is always going to have more of an impact. Okay, unless like your ego's threatened. That's usually when our sun gets activated. That's why I don't put much weight on the sun, because it actually doesn't play that big of a role. The biggest one in your chart that plays the biggest role is your rising sign. Okay, and there are other ones that are even bigger than your sun. We'll save that for another day. But Virgo rising puts logic over everything. Because Virgo is ruled by Mercury. Mercury is a planet of communication. Mercury is all about information. People whose planet is the planet of communication and information are not going to be the most emotional people. They're not going to be the most emotionally available people. They're not going to be the most emotionally expressive people. Okay? So some of the issues that Virgo rising run into are related to relationships during this transit. And I mean specifically marriage. Rochelle, I don't know if you're married. Are you? You can tell me in the comments yes or no, because I've never actually asked you that. So for you, this falls in the 7th house, which is the house of marriage and partnership, okay? The house of marriage and partnership is a house that's normally ruled by zodiac sign Libra. And Libra is represented by the scales, which is all about balance, okay? Balance in partnership, balance in how we treat other people, balance in how we treat ourselves. When a Libra is not balanced, they're a pushover. People walk all over them in relationship. That could be great in every other aspect of life. But if you want to see if a Libra is truly balanced, you go to their marriage or their relationship. That's where you'll see the truth. Because that's when they feel the most codependent. That's when they feel the most needy emotionally. So if they're a pushover in that situation, then they still have healing work to do. Because a Libra could be totally balanced at work and be completely different in their marriage, okay? Oh, Rochelle said, no, I'm not married. I've never been in a relationship. Maybe that's why it's affecting my 7th house. house. Yeah, so the 7th house is a house of partnership through a contract. So that could be a marriage contract, or it can be a business contract. The key takeaway for you is that contracts require that both people observe them. Okay? A contract is only as valid to the extent that both people adhere to them. If one party decides not to adhere to the contract is null and void. That's the way contracts work. So it's about balance. That's the way contracts work. So it's about balance. It's about what Libra energy is about. Balance, give and take. When you're in partnership with people who are not pulling their weight, that's not fair to you. So you have to bring balance back to that relationship. Or if you're in partnership with people who don't allow you to have an identity outside of the fantasy of you that they have in their head, that's also not going to work. So all in all, Libra energy is really here to learn self-respect in relationship, to learn balance in their relationship, and to learn that the beauty of relationship is that we get 4 eyes instead of 2. Okay? When you get in relationship, you get to see yourself not just through your mirror, which is what you see, what you want to see, how you see things, but also through the mirror of another, through their eyes. Okay? That's what makes a relationship special, is that somebody else gets to experience you through their lenses, their mirror, their eyes. Virgo rising in relationship struggles to receive their reflection through the eyes of another. Virgo is such a harsh critic with themselves that they struggle to receive negative feedback from others, especially when that feedback comes from those closest to them. This is why oftentimes Virgo rising treats the people closest to them really, really poorly, emotionally really poorly, and they do this so that they can maintain a position of power and control in the relationship, because it's very important to them that the person that they're in relationship with sees them in a positive light. And to Virgo, being seen in a positive light means that others defer to them. To them, love is submission. To them, love is control. So because they're such harsh critics of themselves, and they submit themselves to their own self-criticism and to their own lack of empathy and to their own lack of compassion, when they love you, they subjugate you to that same energy. So oftentimes the people that are in intimate relationships with Virgo rising feel the most oppressed by them. And again, this is low vibrational energy. This is not high vibrational energy. High vibrational energy Virgo knows they're not perfect. So they're no longer critiquing themselves. Because what's the point of beating myself down when the world is already beating me down? What kind of self-esteem am I going to be left with if I am my own tyrant? A Virgo that is healed gives themselves self-compassion. And they see that they're flawed. And they understand and respect their totality, flaws and all. And because they love themselves from this wholeness, this place of light and darkness, which is what the light and the shadow is about, wholeness, it's easy for them to love their spouses from that same place. They don't expect their spouses to be perfect because they're not perfect. So they're no longer trying to control them so they can look a certain way or be a certain way. They're giving them space now to be themselves. Because they know love is releasing. Love is allowing them to be themselves and them allowing me to be myself. But in their low vibrational space, I've heard other astrologers say this jokingly, that being married to Virgo is like being a plant. Because they literally take care of everything. And they don't need your input or your assistance. They will much rather do everything themselves than to actually have to talk to you about what is the best way to do this X, Y, and Z. They will much rather come up with all of it themselves and make it happen than waste their time trying to sort it all out with you, because they trust themselves, they trust their ability to deliver. And what they're really here to work on is having compassion for other people who may not be as sharp intellectually, who may not be as speedy intellectually, or who may not be as hardworking as they are. And also to be willing to accept their flaws so that when they're in partnership and the person they're in partnership with says, hey, I've noticed you do this thing that I don't like, they don't take it personally like this person thinks I'm a bad person. They don't think you're a bad person. They want you to switch this behavior. They want you to change this pattern, this behavior that is not conducive to love growing in the relationship. When a Virgo is in their ego and they're not living life from a soulful place, they're not receptive to any negative feedback. And they think any negative feedback is an attempt at crushing their ego. When really communication, open and honest emotional communication in relationships is what creates safety, intimacy, and emotional depth. And that comes from having a certain level of emotional maturity. That's what allows you to make room for other people to critique you without necessarily feeling like, oh, they're destroying me here. It's not about you, as it may be about your behavior or your pattern. So this is what's being highlighted for Virgo rising. If you're in relationship or partnership, this may be an area of growth for you in terms of your relationship, because the beauty of relationship is you get to have another experience you. If you don't want feedback from another about who you are, then a relationship is not for you, because the price we pay to be in partnership is discomfort. That's the price we pay. The price we pay for love is discomfort, because now somebody gets to tell you, I don't like how you're chewing, it's too loud. And you have to go, oh, sorry. And then you start chewing slowly because you love them. You don't want to make them feel uncomfortable, and it's something you can quickly fix for them. And yes, it's uncomfortable to know that in that moment they see you in this light. But if you truly trust that they love you and you love them, this moment doesn't define your worth or your value. So Virgo, this month, you're being brought back to love of self, to true self-love. Because when you truly love yourself, you don't live in denial about your flaws. You're not living in lies. You know, and a life that is built on lies is a life where a person actually believes they're without flaws. You know, they believe that they do nothing wrong and everything they do is right. And if something goes wrong in the relationship, is because the other person did something wrong, because they never do anything wrong. That's not a healthy mindset, and it's a lie. It's not even reality. It's not true. And you can't have a healthy love if you can't have truth. And this full moon is actually happening with Sagittarius at the rising. So there are going to be some emotional truths that are going to be coming out, because it's at 0 degrees. It's going to be pure, unadulterated truth. You guys know how Sagittarius is about the truth. So you should expect to learn some things about your relationships at work, or if you're married, Virgo rising, about your marriage, truths that you cannot escape, that require you to emotionally develop so that you can cultivate a deeper relationship with love. So that was it for Virgo rising. Are any of you Virgo risings on this live? And if you wouldn't mind going ahead and tapping the screen for me, I would appreciate it. TikTok needs you guys and I to routinely stay engaged so that they don't think I'm just turning on the live and walking around. Yeah, they will pop up with this thing on my end that says, hey, the screen has been inactive for 5 minutes. You know, what's going on? Verify that you're a really legitimate person. So thank you so much for those of you that are liking the live. Rochelle said this helps so much. Thank you. You're very welcome, Rochelle. Anyone else want me to do a reading for the rising sign? Thank you, David, for liking the live. I appreciate it. Oh, David is a Leo rising. All right, let's do Leo rising. So David, for you, this falls in the house of Scorpio. What do you understand are the themes of Scorpio before I go on? I'm going to let you talk because my voice is a little hoarse. So let me see. And you guys can help David out. What themes do you think can help David out? What themes do you think come with it? laughing. He said, OMG, ha ha ha. So I think David knows where we're going with this. David said death and transformation. Yes. David said secrets. Yes. David, you're on the right track. Anyone else wants to chime in about Scorpio energy and what comes along with that? The occult? Yes. All of that. What else, David? Hi, Rima Hassan. Thanks for joining. Al Hassan. Thanks for joining. Yes, Scorpios are all about the shadow, I think. That's right, David. You're very knowledgeable. Yes, the eighth house is about that. It's also about assets because Scorpio is a person that everybody trusts to manage resources. You know, Taurus gets all the resources given to them, and Scorpio manages all the resources. David said that's about it, and I know they tend to be rather quirky. Yes, Scorpio is definitely very quirky. Scorpio rules over assets, rules over resources, joint ventures. It rules over, and what I mean by assets is also like in a marriage, like shared resources in a marriage, shared money in the marriage. Scorpio also rules over sex. In addition to death, they also rule over life. They rule over secrets. They rule over taboos. Okay, they rule over the occult. What else? Scorpio rules over spiritual transformation. Scorpio is a karmic in astrology for this reason, because scorpionic energy is naturally destructive. It destroys to purify you. A Scorpio cannot bring purification without destruction. This is why Scorpio is ruled by Mars, the planet of war, the planet of action and destruction, also ruler of Aries. And Scorpio is also ruled by Pluto, the planet of transformation. So destruction brings transformation. That's really the theme of Scorpio's life. So for you, with Leo rising, there are lots of issues here around ego and ego management, okay? Leo has a big ego, not as big as Aries, okay? Aries is exalted at the sun, so Aries' ego is the biggest of all of astrology. But Leo naturally does have a big ego. And a lot of times Leo is not aware of how their actions impact others because they naturally take up a lot of space, okay? This falling for you in the 8th house is bringing into focus your relationship with power and control, which are themes that also come up with Scorpio. A lot of times a Leo will control pieces on a board so that they can maintain power and control in any situation that they're a part of. Oftentimes they have the leverage to do so because they've accumulated a lot of power within their social network. It's not unusual for Leo rising to have a lot of support in their social network. But the plan is for you to utilize that power not just for self-glorification, but rather to help others be successful. The balance in Leo energy is Aquarius. Leo and Aquarius are two sides on that spectrum of self-esteem, self-worth, and confidence. Leo and Aquarius rule over confidence in astrology, over, I don't want to use the word ego because that's really for Aries, but really it's about your right to self-assertion. It's about your right to self-identification. It's about your right to self-expression. And it's about the right to own your space, to own your divinity, to own your right to take space, okay? If there's one thing Leo doesn't play about, is their self-esteem. If you're in a relationship with a Leo and you try to make subtle jabs to try to come at their self-esteem, they don't take that very well. No matter how subtle it may be, no matter how humorous you think you might be, they do not respond well to that. Aquarius also does not respond well to that because these two are the protector of your soul's worth, of your confidence. Leo and Aquarius are literally two sides of the same coin. Aquarius uses their power to uplift others, and Leo uses their power to uplift themselves. There is nothing wrong with using your power to uplift yourself. The key is to make sure that we're not doing that to the detriment of others. I'm not saying that, life is kind of this kind of communal space where everybody has to share in the glory at all times. I mean, whenever you use malicious intent to go out of your way to subjugate somebody else, or to turn off the light of somebody else, or to debase somebody else because your ego is feeling threatened and you need to take more space in order to feel good about yourself, that's when you enter into a zone that isn't good. You're supposed to take up space, you're supposed to be confident, but you don't want to do it by using other people's energy, and by bringing them down for the sake of elevating yourself purely for egoic reasons. Does that make sense, David? I was trying to find the right words. David said, yeah, I learned to use my influence for good. Yeah, that's exactly it. So with the 8th house, if you're someone who has been struggling with this idea of ego not necessarily being a bad thing, but ego being something that we're mindful of and that we're cultivating and that we're utilizing appropriately to bring more joy to the world, more beauty to the world, more laughter, more entertainment to the world. Like the world needs joy. The world needs joy more than ever. And Leo rules over joy. The world needs pleasure. Leo rules over pleasure. The world needs theater, art, self-expression, drama. Leo does all of these things really well. So we want more of that, but we also want other people to get a chance to shine, because all of us are here to shine. So sometimes some people are going to shine brighter than us in certain areas. We don't need to sabotage them to prove to ourselves that we're the best. We can simply allow them to shine and see where that takes them. Sometimes they can shine brighter than you only for this season, but they're not able to stand the test of time. Or sometimes they were lucky and they're not able to actually put in the work. That's the other thing with Leo. Leo works really hard at what they do. They want the accolade, but it's not from a place of vanity. I think a lot of times people think Leo is more vain than they are. Yes, they're vain in the sense that they love how they look. They love their body, and they're never going to let you tell them that they're not attractive, regardless of what they look like, because your point of view is irrelevant. They feel good. They like what they look at when they look in the mirror, and it feels good to them, and they look good. No matter what a Leo looks like, a Leo knows they look good. Period. Right? So I'm not talking about that necessarily. That's beautiful. I'm talking about people think Leo wants the accolade because they exist. And that's not necessarily true, because Leo is actually one of the harder working zodiac signs. All of the fixed signs are all very hard working. So a Leo that is in entertainment, that sort of thing, since we're talking about the house of pleasure, that Leo works really hard at their craft. So sometimes that person may be shining brightly, but they don't have the drive, they don't have the stamina, they don't have the discipline to work at it. So it's really about you being willing to own your powers, own your self-worth, own your value, own your joy, without necessarily seeing it in comparison to other people, and without necessarily feeling like you have to get into manipulative plays with other people to get your needs met. It's also about manifesting through play. When it falls in the 8th house for you, you need to know that's the house of the alchemist of the zodiac, the 8th house, because the quicker you can destroy what doesn't work, the quicker you can raise what does work. This is why Scorpio is the alchemist of the zodiac. This is why Scorpio represents power in astrology, because they know how to disintegrate what's ineffective quickly, very, very fast. If it's not working, it's done. And then they know how to build something new, because they're very creative and unafraid of their authentic self-expression. So what Leo rising needs more of in their life is spontaneous play, is more creativity, it's more intentional energy put towards joy. Literally the creation of joy. I know right now, as a whole, as a country, as a world, we're going through some growing pains, but you don't want to be so consumed by it that you let it rob you of joy, because you're still alive, you're still here, you're still functioning. There's still so many joyful things happening in your life right now that you want to be grateful for. And I understand that the world is in pain, and lots of other people are not able to have access to basic things right now because of all these wars that are going on everywhere. I get that. But you adding on to the darkness of this energy does not relieve them of their pain. They don't stop suffering because you've decided to renounce joy for the sake of suffering. There's no glory in self-deprecation. you know? So it's time for you to really tap in with issues that you have with like fully stepping into your power, issues that you have with codependency when you get in relationships, issues that you have with paranoia when it comes to like intimacy in relationships. And I don't mean just physical intimacy, I mean emotional intimacy. You know, feeling like you can trust somebody. These are the issues that you're going to be working on this entire month. You know, you have to go deeper. A lot of times, OMG, she calling me out. David. I'm not even going that deep. This is just like shallow stuff. Okay. So I'm going to close off with this. A lot of times Leo rising, they're very attractive energetically. A lot of people are very drawn to them for this because fire, right? And Leo's regal. There's something very like, I don't want to say angelic, but almost like untouchable about Leo energy, especially at the rising. And that's why everybody wants a piece of it. Because of this initial attraction that people have to you, you tend to meet them at that same superficial energy of like, oh, of course I'm attractive. Of course I'm fun. Of course I'm outgoing. Of course I'm funny. Of course I'm this and that and that. Of course you like me. Everybody likes me. What are you talking about? And because they're so easily satisfied by you paying attention to them, you often don't do the meaningful work of actually establishing a deep, intimate connection with people. And that tidbit requires vulnerability. You've learned to be desired for what you represent. I want you to showcase who you truly are so people can desire you for who you are, not just what you represent. Does that make sense? Yes, 100%. Very good. You're very welcome. Well, thank you so much for that question. That was very good. All right, I'm going to take one last question. We have 10 minutes left. Oh, you're a Sidereal and Leo rising. Which one do you relate to more, Rochelle? Now that you've heard both readings, which one resonates more with you? Is it Virgo or is it Leo? Let's see. I always wonder that about people in terms of like which description resonates more for them. Oh, Leo rising. That's very interesting. I like that. Very nice. Hi, Enchantress. Nick, thank you for being here. So while I'm waiting for the next question, this is a great opportunity to remind you that there's a link in bio for you to donate to the Trevor Project. A lucky donor is going to be selected for a free reading with me. You don't have to donate much. Even $1 will enter you in the giveaway. So anything from $1 to whatever you choose to donate. If you want to schedule a reading with me outside of the giveaway, you can head over to intuitivehealing.com and just a regular N at the beginning, .com to schedule your private astrology reading. I also have a lot of online resources available to you for free. I'm sure I have over 2,000 astrology videos. They're spread across 4 YouTube channels. I have Styled Under Virgo for health and healing. I have Styled Under Libra for astrology love. Intuitive Healing is our main channel. And of course, the Aquarius podcast, which is on Spotify. And I have a corresponding YouTube channel right along with that. I would encourage you to check out the link in bio. Subscribe to my channels. There are a lot of free content that you can get access to just so you can learn yourself more. And I always encourage people, when you get to the channel, you can just search for your placements, you know, like if you're a Virgo or Aries or Leo, just search for those and watch those respective videos. That makes it easier to just kind of run through the catalog. So if you wouldn't mind going and check it out and subscribe, I would appreciate it. I still feel that the future of TikTok is uncertain. So when and if TikTok goes down, I would like for us to stay in touch. And if you already subscribed, when and if it goes down, you will have a way to stay connected with me, because more than likely that's where I'll be having the lives when that happens on YouTube. All right, so that was my little tidbit. What astrology questions do you guys have about this Pisces full moon lunar eclipse? My insight is invaluable is what David said. Thank you so much, David, for saying that. I appreciate it. I love what I do. I find a lot of pleasure in what I do, and I love that I'm able to bring with me 20 years of mental health experience that I can combine with this, 25 years of self-taught astrology to, be able to explain these concepts in simple terms. I'm very dedicated to sharing it in the way that allows people to feel empowered so that they can use it to bring more meaning and purpose to their day-to-day lives. That's what I care about the most. Hi, Tony Kittens. Thanks for joining. All right. So who has the next question? Or are you guys out of questions? And if you are, that's okay too. We can go ahead and wrap it up. But I just wanted to give you guys one more minute to see if you had another. I want you to know that I'm going to have the Aquarius podcast up tomorrow. So even if you don't want to ask your question here or you're not sure what to ask, I want you to know every time we have a full moon or a new moon transit, I release a podcast. I just recorded the podcast for this one today. I'm going to get it on there tomorrow. So you can go to Spotify, the Aquarius podcast, and subscribe. Usually the podcast is like 45 minutes to an hour, so it's quite long. So you're going to get a lot of information because I go through a lot of details before I get to the horoscope. I include the timestamps as well. So if you want to jump around, you can do that. But for those of you that really want to understand, like, what is the vibe of the new moon? Not just like Pisces, but what does it mean and what can I expect? I go into a lot of details. You don't have Spotify, that's okay. If you have YouTube, it's the same thing. So you can go on YouTube at The Aquarius Podcast. Just search The Aquarius Podcast on YouTube, and you can listen to the podcast there as well. It's an astrology podcast channel. All right, we're going to go ahead and wrap up with Samelia Edwards, who is asking about Sagittarius rising. Thank you, Samelia, for that question, Samelia. I'm sorry if I'm saying it wrong. For that question. So for Sagittarius rising, this falls for you in the 4th house, okay? Oh, thank you for saying you love me. I love you too. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate you guys that support my work. It means a lot to me. I know this is kind of a weird thing that I do here, but it means a lot to me. So when I meet people that are into it, it makes me feel special. My sayings are correct and shockingly accurate. Thank you for saying that. I love what I do. Okay, so let me get back to you. All right, so for Sagittarius rising, it's falling in the 4th house. The 4th house is naturally ruled by Cancer. I was talking about Cancer earlier. Cancer is the most emotionally volatile zodiac sign. So for you, this is going to bring up issues with your family of origin, your bloodline, issues with your mom's side of the family, issues with your legacy, the way people do things in your family, the family patterns. A lot of times Sagittarius rising has to inherit a lot of issues in their families that are not necessarily theirs. Since they tend to be very positive and easygoing, a lot of times family members like to dump on them, and they oftentimes also minimize their emotional discomfort because they're so positive. So usually when they're going through a tough time, they have to go through it alone. Excuse me. But when others are going through a tough time, they know that the Sagittarius rising family member is always going to be there to support them. Samelia confirmed, yep, I'm the family therapist as a Pisces. Oh yes, I know they love that because you have Jupiter both at the sun and at the rising. Yeah, because Jupiter is very expensive. Jupiter is very large. Jupiter is very grand. Jupiter is the largest planet in our solar system. So nobody's going to be more supportive of you than a Sagittarius. Leo is also very generous energetically, but Sagittarius naturally likes to share gifts. Okay? That's a huge part of who they are. Leo has a big heart, which is very different from having a disposition of sharing gifts. And that's really the role of Jupiter. Jupiter in astrology is associated with Chiron, the wounded healer, which again is about healing. It's about giving. It's about sharing. So a Sagittarius doesn't even know how to be selfish, even if they try. That's why when I meet those types, I know they must be deeply wounded because it goes against the very essence of a Sagittarius. Unfortunately, that very thing, their generosity, is what makes them the target of like low vibrational spirits often, because people take their kindness for granted. People take their kindness for stupidity. and people think they don't know when they're taking advantage of them, you know, because it's very easy to take advantage of somebody that is very generous because they naturally want to give. And the thing about takers is takers aren't givers. All they do is take. So when the givers do not have limits with how much they give, the takers continue to take until the givers have nothing to give. And when the givers, dare complain about the fact that they're depleted, then the takers resent them for complaining, because the takers get trained by the givers to only be takers. Are you catching the flow here? When you're ruled by Jupiter, which is Pisces ruled by Jupiter and Neptune, and Sagittarius ruled by Jupiter, you're naturally a giver. And when you do not develop good boundaries around your giving, you will get used. You will get abused. Because people see that you're naturally kind. You're naturally generous. Unlike Leo, Sagittarius doesn't give expecting to be boosted up in their ego. They do it because that's who they are. The same reason why Virgo helps. Virgo helps because that's who they are. Sagittarius gives and shares because that's who they are, okay? So it's not about an ulterior motive. And Sagittarius, what I need you to understand is that most people give with an ulterior motive. Most people are not going to be as generous as you. Most people are not going to want to be friends with you because of just you. A lot of times people want to be friends with you because of what they can get out of you. And this started in your family. Because the way that your family uses you, that's the way the world uses you. So the best thing you can do under this full moon transit is for you to really work through unpacking your generational family trauma and how you have inherited some responsibilities around overgiving that don't serve you. Okay? Similia added, I overgive. I'm now learning boundaries after 36 years old. Good for you. It's never too late to learn. Even if you're 96 years old, I'm glad that you're learning, because the learning part is the most important thing. So the main thing with Sagittarius is boundaries and also honesty. If Sagittarius that is not evolved, they're very good at telling people the truth, but they're not good at telling themselves the truth. Truth slices both ways. Okay? This is why when I do my work, I open up my heart to people and I share them things about my life that are painful, because I want them to know I have pain too. And I'm not just here just to hear their sad stories or their pain and feel like I'm superior because they're telling me about their sad story. I want them to know I have my sad story too, and I have my pain too that I've had to work through, and some of it I'm still working through. So, and I'm a Sagittarius stellium, by the way. So for me, honesty is directly connected to vulnerability. Because people who lie, they do that because of their ego. They're trying to protect their ego. They want you to see them a certain way. They want you to think they're a certain way. So they put on a show because they're trying to protect something. They're trying to preserve something. And me, I don't feel like there's any ego that I need to protect. I feel like my ego is healthy. It's balanced. There's some things about me that aren't good. There's some things about me that are good. I embrace all of it, and all of it is what makes me me. I don't want you to think that my life is perfect, because it's not. I don't want you to think I don't make mistakes, because I do a lot. So the thing about Sagittarius is all the mistakes we make, we learn from them, and then we evolve from there. So when you are noticing that other people are doing things that are hurting you, and you are telling them about it, and they're not wanting to stop and respect those boundaries, that should tell you that those people don't care about your well-being. So that should tell you that you need to limit your interaction with those types of people, or even end some interactions if needed. But a Sagittarius, especially with Pisces, sometimes can lie to themselves into believing that people can change when people don't want to change. Some people don't want to change. Like, the way they're living is perfectly fine with them. They don't mind you being their therapist. They don't mind creating problems for you to solve. And they don't want to learn how to avoid getting into these problems so that they don't have to burden you with their problems. They're perfectly fine with the setup, which is they're doing into these problems so that they don't have to burden you with their problems. They're perfectly fine with the setup, which is they do things that harm them, and then they come in and dump it to you and you fix it. And sometimes they don't even listen to the advice that you give. People never listen to Sagittarius. That's the other thing I'm noticing. As a Sagittarius stellium, people never listen to Sagittarius. It's only after the fact that they understand what Sagittarius was trying to tell them. In the moment, they think Sagittarius is too cocky. It's like diary energy. Maybe it feels too dominant, so it makes them feel scared. But people usually don't take heed. They don't listen. I can tell you that from my personal experience as somebody that worked as a therapist and worked in mental health for 20 years. They don't listen. They don't want to go out and do what you said. So let them. Let them. You need to stop stressing yourself out for people that are not worried about your mental health. That's basically it. And a lot of the reason why you even feel like it's your responsibility is because of, you know, issues with your home, issues with your bloodline, issues with your family. It's because of emotional issues that have been passed down through generations that don't even have anything to do with you. I want you to spend some time asking yourself when you're feeling feelings. Are those your feelings or other people's feelings? And if those are other people's feelings, then you need to work on boundaries, energetic, emotional boundaries. You know, part of being the therapist is that you have to learn how to create a wall around your heart, because if you allow your heart to be drowned by everything negative that you hear, guess what kind of mood you're going to be living your life in? And is that really what you want? Because Sagittarius is actually here to be happy. This is the happy-go-lucky zodiac sign. So we can't have the happy-go-lucky zodiac sign being burdened by negativity because they don't know how to protect themselves from negative people who don't want any better than what they're doing right now. Sometimes you just have to let people live their life the way they're choosing and do so without critique. Like, yes, you wouldn't do that, but they're choosing to do that, so let them do it. And let them find out on their own what's better for them. Sometimes people are not going to want to listen and they just want to stress you out. Just tell them, no, I'm not your trash can. Because where do you go to dump your stuff? Nowhere. So if they come to dump it, you can't go back and dump to them, then doesn't that make you a trash can? Isn't that what an emotional trash can is? What else are you? Because a healthy relationship is about give and take. I should be able to go to you to dump when mine is too full, and you come to me to dump when yours is too full. But if it's only you coming to me, but I can't go to you, then I'm a trash can. Then you must think this is where the trash lives. And Sagittarius is not trash, has never been trash, will never be trash. So you have to work on that. You have to work on those boundaries. Because when you're allowing people to basically steal your joy and abduct your, emotional system, you're giving them power over your life, because we manifest with our emotions. Sagittarius manifests through positivity, positive thoughts, positive vibes. But if you are somebody who thinks your entire existence is about absorbing people's negative vibes, guess what you're manifesting? Exactly. So that's what I want to leave you with. Boundaries, boundaries, boundaries. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and log off. But David asked me, where did I get it from? So David asked, how did you figure out which house he fell into? So David, a simple answer is the moon is the first house. So we're having Pisces moon, full moon. So Pisces falls in the first house. Okay. The next house from Pisces going forward, because it's a full moon, so it's about evaluation or moon transit. Love from Trinidad. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that you tune in from Trinidad. So then the next house from Pisces, that's Aries. So Aries naturally falls in the 12th. So then you keep going backwards from there. 11th, 10th, 9th, 8th, and you go all the way back to 1. Sometimes I'll look it up online because my brain, with my ADHD, sometimes I'm a little scattered brain to like keep track of it, but that's essentially how you do it. So start with the first, the next is the 12th, and then go 11, 10, 9, 8, and go backwards. Okay? All right. So yes, so the full moon transit is happening on the 7th. So this is going to be on the 7th. And again, YouTube, the Aquarius podcast, Spotify, the Aquarius podcast for the full horoscope. I'll have these up for you tomorrow, and I hope that they're helpful for you. I won't be on live this Sunday, but I'll be back on next Wednesday. Okay? All right. Take care of yourselves. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you for all you do, is what Rochelle said. Thank you for all the love, the support, the likes. You guys gave me over 5,000 likes. Thank you for the gifts, the questions. I appreciate the chats. Thanks for everything. Take care. Bye-bye. Happy full moon in Pisces. You can book your astrology reading at intuitivehealing.com. You can also watch videos at Intuitive Healing here on YouTube for Astrology 101 content. Listen to the Aquarius podcast on Spotify, as well as here on YouTube for your horoscope. If you're interested in astrology and love connections, you can visit at Styled Under Libra. And of course, for health and wellness and holistic healing, visit at Styled Under Virgo for all of your astrology content. Thanks so much for watching.